The idea of witcherdom is strangely appealing to me despite the horrible monsters, forced mutation, and potential dismemberment. Something about knowing exactly what you are sounds amazing, what you're for. You're even encouraged to stay in the center and avoid attachment. Physically demanding, sure, but no need for principles or ideals really. Just travel, work, and coin. Neutral. I've made a pretty good go of neutral the past few years. A comfortable work-from-home job that makes decent money with good benefits. If I just mind my own business and do my job, it gives me the freedom to do stuff like this by not sucking up my entire life. It's a nice balance. When I was younger, I was a firm believer in the idea of a life's pursuit, something that you chased, a passion. For me, that thing was music. Being a hip-hop and neo-soul enthusiast, that also led me to politics. As years passed, though, I got really tired of the ups and downs of working in the music industry and the consistent downs of giving a shit about politics. I tried to channel my inner witcher and do something without being passionate about it for decent money and stability. People who've never lived without it tend to undervalue security and stability. The lack of constant crawling anxiety. A more level headspace. No urgency, no desperation. Balance. It's sort of a shame that I can't tolerate it for long. I feel like part of the reason games tend to lean into characters being these neutral mercenary types is that it helps prevent ludonarrative dissonance, like what you get in Uncharted, where this everyman family guy is snapping the necks of people who essentially amount to low-wage security. Oh, God. The entire Witcher culture that they've created in the book universe is kind of based around that. They're created to be stripped of emotion and function as tools to fight against monsters. Impartial, beast-killing computers. It's honestly kind of hilarious how much they harp on that, given that Geralt is not like that at all. He literally earns his nickname, the Butcher of Blaviken, because he stepped in to prevent the death of innocent people. Granted, it ended in the death of a lot of people, but they weren't innocent, so I call that a big fat dub in medieval context. The writers and promoters for The Witcher seem to kind of be at odds about this too. The marketing team loves to promote Geralt as the medieval Mandalorian, going so far as making one of the promotion lines for The Witcher 3, "The world doesn't need a hero, it needs a professional." But the writers consistently make it clear that Geralt is a straight-up hero, no anti. He is consistently involved, consistently too close to everything, taking sides, fighting for causes. I remember one of my first playthroughs of this game when I was going through a big Buddhism kick. This actually kind of irritated me. In most instances in this game, you cannot really be impartial. You can't be anything more than kind of a dick, but still doing the right thing sometimes. I was expecting options that were more neutral, more not my problem, but looking back on that, I have no idea what I was even asking for, and I was getting mad about the exact point that the game is trying to make with a lot of its writing. Big old spoiler inbound. This game is 10 years old, by the way. Why are you watching a video if you haven't played it? In Reason of State, you're requested to engage in a coup to assassinate King Radovid. King Radovid is a monster, a genocidal lunatic leading a crusade against anything magical or magic adjacent, really, within the Northern Realms. Quick aside for more context, this uppity asshole up here is why Radovid is the way he is. To cut a long story short, she killed his father, then tormented him throughout most of his childhood. Him burning out her eyes is not really one of the horrible things that I think he did. She had that coming. However, he's still a tyrannical genocidal lunatic, albeit a somewhat understandable one. There are only two options for this quest line. Assassinate him, or you don't. You'd think not participating would be a neutral choice. Non-action, no choice. Let things fall how they may. Just let the empires duke it out. It sounds neutral. It's not. Not assassinating Radovid leads to the creation of a religious police state. A continued inquisition against all magic folk, although I imagine Geralt is primarily concerned for the sorceresses. Eventually, Radovid, unchecked, will crush the Nilfgaardians, and this crusade will undoubtedly spread. This isn't to say that it's all sunshine and roses if you do assassinate him. If you do, Dijkstra will betray you. Who'd have thought that a guy that looked like this was a nationalist? Crazy, right? And attempt to kill you and all the remaining co-conspirators. Again, you're presented with a similar option. Help them and kill Dijkstra, or leave. Now, why leaving here isn't a neutral choice is much more obvious, but you get my meaning. So you help them and kill Dijkstra. Now, Nilfgaard wins, and the Empire takes over. But the Inquisition into magical folks ends. It's not perfect. The North is no longer quote-unquote free, although it wasn't free for the vast majority of citizens. Sound familiar? Now, I really don't like either Emhyr or Radovid, and I don't think either are meant to be likable. But if we're talking about things working out for the largest number of people, Nilfgaard taking over in the north and Temeria having some degree of sovereignty under the Nilfgaard umbrella seems to be the least offensive choice. That least offensive choice took the most meddling possible. All inactive choices have worse outcomes. You literally, by default, allow the Crusades if you ignore the quest. So what am I getting at? Am I going to lambast the writers for tunneling the plot? Bad DM, no railroading. No, I'm not. This is, unfortunately, about as real as it gets. You know why I wanted to be neutral so bad? Why I wanted to just stay out of shit and let the pieces fall as they may? Because when you care, it matters more when it doesn't work out. I got so tired of caring about something that never turned out how I wanted it that I stopped doing it altogether. I got so tired of being disappointed by people's unwillingness to do anything about anything or care about their fellow man that I joined them. When I was younger, I cared so much it was exhausting for pursuits, people, ideals, image, reason. I cared so much, and there was good in some of those things. But the bads got so bad that I forgot, or chose to forget. When you stay out of it, you don't feel any responsibility. You wash your hands of it. Say that the world is what it is. I'm not Geralt. I don't have that kind of impact. I can just live in my own slice of reality, keep my tribe safe. I don't have to participate. I don't have to try. And every time that decision gets made, another light goes out. I think giving up on the world is rooted in giving up on yourself, on what brings you joy and what's worth fighting for. At some point, a lot of us just concede defeat and do something meaningless that gets us through the days. Neutral. It'd be easier if I could tolerate the illusion. It's a shame that it's not real. I'm big into meditation. I even have a little device that helps me reach a meditative state faster. A lot of people think that the goal of meditation is non-thought, and I suppose sometimes for brief intervals maybe you achieve something like that, but a true meditative state for me is balanced thought. And it doesn't feel neutral at all. It feels active, vibrant, connective. I never feel more creative than in my meditative state. I think this is what people like to imagine they're doing by choosing a path of non-action in major worldly problems, rising above the petty issues of those lesser mortals. It's easy to exceptionalize yourself when it isn't happening to you. What they're really doing is sitting there like a spectator at the Colosseum, except the lions are feeding on different sections of the crowd. They're content to watch because they aren't in that section. They tell themselves they're better than that section. That section brought it on themselves. That section should have planned better. And they watch. They tell themselves they're impartial. They make their justifications, but deep down, they're just hoping the lions don't notice them, or imagining that they're a lion themselves. I'm not Geralt. I can't slap down a quick Quen to shield myself from the consequences of my actions. And make no mistake, doing the right thing has consequences. Often the right thing is the hardest thing. And sometimes, even when you do it, and the consequences massively fuck you over, it doesn't even change that much. But Geralt does know the truth of these situations. There is no neutral. If you don't pick a side, then events will pick for you. If you don't speak up for what's right, you're complicit in what's wrong. If you don't live your life, then life will live you. Credit to my wife on this when she said it, and I thought it was profound. I'm going to die. This isn't some dramatic admission. I don't have a terminal illness or a flight to catch, but it's true. I'm going to die someday. And I will not die someone who kept their head down and crunched their numbers. You can't care about everything. But if you don't care about anything, you may as well already be dead.